Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Bulelo, for the introduction. It's a great pleasure to be here because we have celebrated Heritage Day in the country on Monday the 24th, and it's quite a privilege to be here today celebrating Heritage Day, albeit late, with the community of Philippi and with colleagues here at the Solution Space. This space is important for us. I visited here the Desmond Tutu Foundation a few weeks ago, but it wasn't just a visit to the Desmond Tutu Foundation. We went to all the sites in Crossroads, Michel's Plain, Kailicha, where UCT staff, particularly in the Faculty of Health Sciences, are located. Because as the new leadership of the university, we believe that it's important that we are located where the people we serve are. We want our university to be a university in the community because we want the community in the university. And so we've been doing a few things. So going into the spaces where our colleagues are located and doing work, where our students are trained. Our students, some people don't know that students in the Faculty of Health Sciences in this university are the only students who cannot graduate unless they have fluency in isiXhosa. They have to. And not only that, they don't do it just theoretically. They have to be on the ground during their training, learn how to serve people who speak the language, real people on the ground. So it was good for us as the leadership to go and be with them and see what is it that they're exposed to. How do we embed ourselves into this thinking of working with the community the way in which we want to do? And so being here on this day is special in that context as well. So I thought we should talk a little bit about heritage because we're celebrating Heritage Day. And heritage is, in my view, a critical component of what makes us human. And I wish we celebrated Heritage Day or our heritage, more often than we do today in this country. Because heritage informs who we are as individuals, and it informs the choices that we make and the way we think and behave. Either as individuals, sometimes as groups of people, as organizations, our heritage shapes how we think and behave. And our heritage is what influences and unifies us as a nation. But I think that our heritage very much informs our present situation and indeed is critical in the future we envisage for ourselves. So when we think about our future, sometimes it feels as if it's going to be a future that's not connected, but it's always connected to our heritage because our heritage is weaved into the fabric of the present scenarios we face. And so it will be visible in the fabric of the future we shape. We need to celebrate our heritage and weave the future from the incredible inheritance we received from those generations that came before us. They did many things well and created a rich tapestry that we should remember, rest on, learn from, and celebrate. And we can sit here, all of us, talk about what's special about our heritage. And later, I also want to talk a little bit about sometimes there's pain in our heritage, and in some ways we've got to face that as well. As a people, we must interrogate our heritage to find out what are the fault lines in our heritage, the shame, the errors, and the evil, because it is not everything in our past, especially our past as South Africa, that is pleasing. Some of our past is not that pleasing, but it shapes who we are currently, and in many ways it will be weaved in to what our future becomes. And so we need to stare the part of our past that is not pleasing. We've got to stare it in the face, name it, debate it, and understand it so that we can overcome it, so that we can learn from it and ensure that the thread of mistakes do not creep into our future. Some of what we see around us, that's not what it should be, is because of that heritage, a painful heritage that came with our past that brought us here to where we are. In South Africa, talking about our heritage and our past and even owning up to its fault lines is not always straightforward. And that's for the simple reason that we do not have a shared heritage as a nation. even Heritage Day, if you listen to the radio on Heritage Day, discussions on the radio, sometimes are controversial because some people do it, call it Bride Day. They think that's the heritage. Some people go back to it, and some people fight about the fact that you use bride to celebrate where we come from. For some people, it's a point of shame, of pain, because it reminds people of what we have lost. And for some people, they focus on what we have gained, what's beautiful, what's amazing, what's wonderful, what's strong about our heritage. And that's because our heritage is not only painful, but it is not necessarily shared by everyone. Indeed, we have a very divided past. Different communities have different lived experiences and different stories to tell. My story is certainly not the same as the story of many people in this room. And sometimes, even when we're Black, our stories are different because we're located in different places in this country at different times, and so our experiences were different. Our families have gone through different experiences, and so our stories are different. Like my story, though, your story, if told, will have its own celebrations and complexities. It will have its own shame and wonders. I have a firm belief that if we could tell all these stories, we would find that we have much more in common than what divides us as a nation. There's somewhere where there's a connection for all of us, irrespective of race, gender, color, or creed. This includes our aspirations, our collective hopes for a better future, and our common humanity. And it is these commonalities that will help us build bridges, understand one another's perspectives, and give us the building blocks for a shared future we so desperately need, not only as UCT, but as a nation. If we take stock of our collective heritage, we can heal from the difficult moments and find pride in the good things. It may not always be comfortable, but we must try. It will be much more painful if we sweep our divided and traumatic past under the carpet in the name of progress, pretend that it never happened. It will just trip us up that way and come to haunt us in the next generation and the next and the next. And so our children and our children's children will continue to face the difficulties that we're facing today. So if we want to deal with them, we've got to face them and say, what is it that didn't go right about our past and how do we make it right? Taking stock is not that easy to do. It's about more than just acknowledging the past. And I believe that we need to own up to it as authentically and as fully as we can. We need to do this both as individuals and as organizations. And for me, as Vice-Chancellor of UCT, it falls on me to speak up on behalf of UCT. UCT's heritage, of course, it's got brilliance, it's got vibrant, and it's incredible in many ways. It's a beacon of research, scholarship, teaching, and fighting for social justice on the continent. Some of the individuals who led UCT cared not just about the institution, but also about what the institution means for the country and the continent. They fought in difficult times and gave the world this precious gem here in the most southern part of the continent, and being the top university in the world, in the country, in the continent today. It is to be admired and celebrated, and much of it is to be celebrated. UCT's heritage, however, is also complicated. It is complex and somewhat, sometimes, compromised. And for us to continue to stay relevant so that we can really help to build a better future for all South Africans and take South Africa to an international stage, we have some work to do as an institution. We have to own up as an institution to our complex past. We have to start telling the truth about the past that we are not so proud about. And I guess as time goes on, that will become public. But as the leadership of the university, we've become to grapple with some of the past of the institution, some of the institution's heritage that's really painful. Some of it goes hundreds of years before now. people who lived in the land where the institution is located, people who've been through the institution, some of the pain that came with it being what it is, and we have to face up to it. And it's not going to be an easy process. We need to recognize that our past, some of our past is problematic. And this process that we're planning to go through involves redressing the key symbols of our heritage in order to acknowledge why we are where we are today, the good and the bad. We are a top university on the continent, and that's great. It comes with a whole of hard work that was done before. But the pain that also comes with being the top comes with some of the past that really is problematic and perhaps shouldn't have happened, but it happened. UCT's history is littered with stories that we might prefer to forget. The one story that's told the most, and people pick on it here and there, is the story of Professor Mamokgethi. In 1968, the UCT Council unanimously approved the appointment of Mamokgethi to the role of senior lecturer in social anthropology. But 1 month later, following significant pressure from the apartheid government, the council withdrew this offer. The move resulted in widespread protest action and drew criticism from UCT students and staff. But the council stood firm and refused to change their decision. Mamokgethi went into exile in the UK, where he obtained a PhD in anthropology and rural sociology from Cambridge University. He became an internationally renowned scholar in his field, and he returned to South Africa at the end of apartheid, earning a title of full professor bestowed on him by the University of South Africa, UNISA, where he taught until 2007. At the age of 71, he passed on whilst a professor at UNISA. This is the shameful past, the shameful part of UCT's history, but we need to honor Professor Mamokgethi's memory, to tell his story, and to include it in the stories we choose to tell about UCT's heritage. Doing so provides a space for openness. So as we celebrate our greatness as an institution, the fact that we are the #1 university on the continent, we should also acknowledge that it comes on the back of some decisions that were made that could have made us even better, perhaps, than we are right now. And as I say, that space for openness is needed, a space for frank appraisal for where we are today, and for acknowledging that heritage is made up of many, many narratives. And so we should tell all these narratives boldly, knowing that they made us who we are, rather than pretend that some of our past didn't happen. If we pretend that it didn't happen, it might just happen again. Acknowledging it makes sure that we make sure that it doesn't happen again. Another story is the story of a truly great educator and UCT alumna, Dr. Stella Peterson. She was the first woman of color to earn a master's degree in botany from UCT in 1947. As an undergraduate student in the 1940s, she faced discrimination and racism at UCT. Her white classmates would not sit next to her during lectures. She strove for excellence, writing a groundbreaking master's thesis analyzing the peculiar structure of an indigenous oxalis species, a commonly known sorrel or wood sorrel, some kind of a herb flower which can be eaten. After graduation, Dr. Peterson accepted a botanical research position at the Cape Technical College. But when she arrived for work, she was told that the post was for a white person, and as a black person, she could not have the job. And so she was asked to leave. I mean, you can imagine, this is a scientist in a country where even today, black people struggle to break through science. And here, we had an amazing woman, a pioneer, and he was asked to leave because the post that he was granted as they said, was for a white person. In 1949, Dr. Peterson was awarded the first South African International Foundation Research Fellowship to study at Syracuse University in New York, where she graduated with a Master's of Science in Education degree. She then returned to South Africa, where she embarked on a long and dedicated career as a high school teacher. She's best remembered as the biology teacher at Livingston High School, where she taught for 38 years. Remember, she already had a master's degree. She was denied to practice as a scientist. She went to the US. She did another master's degree in science education, came back, remodeled herself as a science teacher, became a brilliant science teacher for 38 years. Throughout her life, Dr. Peterson was renowned for her commitment to education, for her research, and for her love of and dedication to conserving South African indigenous vegetation. She received a Lifetime Achiever and Outstanding Contribution to Conservation Efforts in the Western Cape, an award which she was given in recognition of her teaching prowess over decades. After her retirement in 1999, she continued to have an active role in education through her participation in the Environmental Center at the Christenborg Botanical Gardens, introducing thousands of pupils, many of whom came from the Cape Flats and all over Cape Town, to the wonders of botany. In recognition of her lifetime dedicated to education, she received an honorary doctorate in education from UCT in 2011 at the age of 88, the very institution in which her white classmates wanted her out, honored her in 2011. Interestingly, Dr. Stella Peterson's legacy is tied to the Philippi community in a very tangible way. Her mentor at UCT was Edith Stevens, the visionary botanist whose concern for the critical endangered Cape Coolwood plant led her to buy the Philippi property where it was found. And today, this is conserved as the Edith Stevens Wetland Park here in Philippi. By telling the stories of Professor Mamokgethi and Dr. Peterson and the many other stories like them, stories of people who went through UCT as black people and they were either pushed or treated badly or not recognized. In telling these stories, we honor those who have come before us. And we also commit ourselves to making sure that it doesn't happen again. And including their narratives in our heritage recognizes that the playing field has never been equal and we'll still have to work to do the redress, to redress the imbalances of the past. Plus, we need to highlight role models who come from communities and circumstances that are recognizable to our current students. As you know, many of our students still complain that they feel unwelcome on our campus. And that's why, as our vision, we want to be inclusive, we want to be engaged, and we want to be known as an African university. There's not just the best in Africa, but the best for Africa. My point is that the past is never just in the past. It resides in us, in living memory. It's all around us every day. And therefore, we need to speak openly about the past and to ask for forgiveness when necessary. As I've said, I believe that this is a crucial step for us to heal and to summon the courage to move forward together. We cannot move forward together as an institution until we stop, look at our past, acknowledge what's great about it, critique what's bad about it, and commit to moving to the future differently. As the VC of UCT, I intend to celebrate what is worthy of celebration about our institution and lift out the shameful moments so that we can acknowledge and learn from it, heal from it, and be enriched by it. Moving forward also rests on building relationships, and solid relationships include an understanding of one another's history, heritage, and context. Our transformation efforts as an institution need to come from a place of personal integrity and authenticity. Change at an institutional level and change at a community level and at a societal level needs to be values-driven and to take account of our context. Open, honest, and collaborative relationships hold the key to us achieving greater things as a society. Whether personal, organizational, and institutional, all relationships require understanding. They require communication and they require engagement. So when we come here to the solution space as UCT, we don't want to come here and be an oasis in the middle of the desert. We want our presence here in Philippi to be a source of activity, to filter into the community, to transform this community into what it should be. And we can only do that by looking back with the community, owning the past, working together on what the future should be. My hope is that a day such as this one is not a once-off, Bulelo. And thank you for the work that you're doing, because we need this place to become vibrant, but to make Philippi a vibrant place. When Bulelo talks about the solution space, and other colleagues here, they talk about the solution space, they call it a GSB solution space, and I say, don't call it a GSB solution space. It's a UCT solution space. It should never be seen as a GSB solution space. It should be seen as the presence of UCT in the community. And so it should challenge us as the leadership, and it should challenge the council of the university to make sure that our presence here is meaningful. It shouldn't be a presence that comes in to take and benefit from an impoverished community so that we can write theses and get our masters and our doctorates. It should be a space. If we're going to get doctorates from here, then we should make sure that those doctorates, the benefits of those doctorates are shown in the community. And that's not just about pumping money into the space. It's about the work that we do beyond just the financial resources. It's about building relationships of trust with the community. And it's about making sure that the young people, the children of this village or this community, see this space as theirs. They own it. It's only when people feel they own the place that they protect it, they grow it, they make it better. If we don't do that, this place will be an enemy to the community. And if it becomes an enemy to the community, then we can forget about it existing for much longer, because it will be destroyed. The big thing is to make the community own it with us. And that's the challenge for all the colleagues who work in the Desmond Tutu Foundation, in the solution space, that we've got to work hard at making sure that the community owns it with us in what we do, but also more importantly, how we do it with them. People get to own things because of how we involve them, how they feel is theirs. I've been talking to the alumni of the university, particularly when I talk to the UCT Association of Black Alumni. I've been talking about what it means to own the university. Owning the university. It's not just about bringing your children to the university. It's not just about mobilizing scholarships for students to study. That's benefiting from something that you don't own. If you just recruit money for bursaries and student study, you are benefiting for something that's owned by somebody. But owning something means that you're concerned about its well-being, bricks and mortar. You're concerned about how strong the foundation is. You're concerned about the equipment that's standing in some corner of a room. You're concerned about how long is it going to last, who's taking care of it, who's making sure that it works and will continue to function for the foreseeable future, because you own the place. You're concerned about the crack that you see on the wall, any broken window. You're concerned about who goes in, who goes out, what they benefit, what it gives, because you own it. You're not just concerned about giving bursaries and letting people benefit from the space. This is our time to own UCT, to own its presence in our communities, to make it meaningful. The complaint that UCT belongs to some group of people, it belongs to white people, when students are angry, they tell us that, doesn't hold anymore. If we want to own it, we treat it like it is ours. That's what we do. Why? Because in fact, it is ours. We treat it that way. And then we can tell, whoever tells us it is not ours, we will tell them, excuse me, it is ours. And we know that because just look how we treat it. It is ours. The solution space is the same. Philippi is ours too. If Philippi is ours, we treat it the same way. If we walk around, if it doesn't thrive, it is ours. What do we do to show that we own it? And my hope is that during my term of office, we can work together to make sure that we become a university that's in the community, owns the community, and the community feels that the university is theirs and they own it with us in ways that have never been seen before. After all, we are African, and we can teach the whole world what it means to be a university in the community and a community in the university. Thank you very much.